gonna be getting a few WhatsApp messages through this session. Good evening, welcome back to In the Khud. This is vlog number 34, 12th of August 2022. It's 8:32 p.m. and Friday evening. It still is kind of intense from the perspective that Monday is Independence Day and then the week is like a lot of stuff happening. So woke up at 5:30. It was a real struggle to get through. Like I was having a massive headache. That's what it was. It was hard to push through. Now I know in yesterday's videos I talked about momentum and how it just pushes you forward without worrying about things. Today was difficult. It was just genuinely difficult. But I did push through. I was looking for a realistic character creation course on maybe CG Cookie or somewhere else. But I had bought this Udemy course about 6 months ago and it is so beautiful. That's the exact course that I needed right now to sharpen my sculpting journey or begin it, as I would say. I saw that course and I also bought a 3D environment course which was in my wish list because Udemy has this thing that after every once in a while it gives this discount of what 95% or something. Something that you would get for 3,500 rupees, it gives you for 500 rupees or something like that. So I just buy Udemy courses. Now I'm sleeping because up until this point as well I was like struggling with my headache. 3:34 p.m. Observations when adapting the Independence Day video from 1:1 to 16:9. I probably need a script which does this for me. So initially, to make things easier, I'd kept everything in the After Effects composition. Everything was as layers. Like even if there are slates, like segments of the video, I kept all of them as single Illustrator layers. So that I don't have to go to pre-comps and do things. I can do everything in the master comp. But when I had to adapt it into a different resolution and also I had to adjust the voiceover, that is when I needed those set of elements which belong together to be grouped or pre-comped into one pre-composition. When I was doing that, it was just messing things up, as in whenever you pre-comp something, it takes it to the center of the composition and not at the place where the camera was. The workaround was create a null called subsection control, create a null top of it, parent everything except the layers which already have parents. Okay, parent it. Now pre-compose with the subsection name. This will have these layers placed at the camera position on the canvas. Need to bring it to the center of the frame. Go inside the pre-comp, select the null layer and press Control Home and come out. So what Control Home does is it brings all of the layers which are parent to that null and the null to the center of that composition, and now that composition when you go out is in the center of the frame. Now at any point where the camera is static, it's not moving, you just parent that composition to the main camera, the main null in the main comp, and it will work like it should. It will be completely seamless. So this, since it's a repetitive process and I would like character animation heavy or animation heavy videos which are having Illustrator vectors, I'd like to do them in this way where everything is in one comp initially. This is a script that could be really helpful. 17:08 p.m. apparently done with the full-time job work for the day before plunging into show 2 Q sheets, which I couldn't. Improving on the ITK Premiere AHK script and Nullify script inside After Effects. Here, improving on the ITK Premiere AHK script, I can right now just my very first sculpts, so don't expect them to be amazing, but yeah, edit my video just with the keyboard. Okay, over here I want to insert a bra. This being that I press G1. I'm starting to sculpt and I'm starting to enjoy the process of sculpting a lot now. So we'll continue sculpting something at least every single day, so we get in the groove and the habit of how. So like to get along with this. Yeah, so I have basically reached a point where I can just keep the keyboard here and keep inserting things at the point where I want them to be without having to ever touch the mouse. So today's video, it requires a bit of muscle memory, but I'm gonna edit using this technique. So that's the auto hotkey script advancement. Now After Effects script, I want to make a Nullify script. Now what I'll explain to you what exactly I want. Let's say I have these 3 layers. Okay, I want to have a null layer which calculates the average, the mean of these 3 layers, and at that position it places a null so that I can use that null and move things around and all of these will get affected by it. This is a very common use case and I come across this a lot of times and this has been pending since forever. So I finally thought let's just do this. Now if I have to show you my progress here, when I come in here and I have nothing selected and I press F5 to run, it sends me an alert, no layer selected, as it should. If I have one layer selected and I press F5, it will show me the position of that layer. So if you see here 5, 10, 4, 35, there's just text layers and I've in the source of the text layer I've added position of that layer. So 5, 10, 4, 35. If I have 2 layers selected and I press F5, it will show 5, 10, 1350, 5, 10, 1350 and 435, 330. So what it's doing is X, X and then Y, Y. Similarly, if I have all the 3 layers selected and I press F5, it's going to do X, 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 X1, X2, X3 and Y1, Y2 and y3. Depending on the number of layers I'm selecting, this is calculating the x and y position of it. Now the next step from here is I have to add the x position of all the selected layers. I have to divide it by the number of layers which are selected. That will give me the x, mean x for the null, and similarly for y. So I will have x and y for the null. So that is how I will tell the script where that null should be placed, and then the later step is going to be taking all the selected layers and parent it to the null. So that is how this will work, and I think I'm pretty much there. Like the majority of logic was figuring this out. So for I is 0 as is in comp.num layers. Now num layers is a function that like for project, if you want to select like anything here inside the project panel, you have a thing called project.num items. Okay, but inside the comp, if you want to say the number of elements here, you say comp.num layers, and it's important because syntax plays a very important role. If you just have one, and it's case sensitive JavaScript, so even if you have one letter here and there, it will just say array index out of bounds, something like that. We're running through a loop or the number of layers which are selected. We have a layers array. It's an empty array that I've defined at the top, so global variable. That array is storing the selected layers. So comp.selected layers, this function is a built-in function which is giving me an array of selected layers. Okay, now if this array is greater than 0, then you do something else. You just alert no layer selected. So if nothing is selected, the array is 0, then it alerts, not here, then it alerts no layer selected as it should. But if the length is not 0, that means the array has something. Okay, now you go inside that if and again run a for loop. For I 0 is less than the number of selected layers dot length. We're defining two variables, so essentially it's just wrapped around in mat.round because it just brings that big value. Layers I. So let's say we are at 0th iteration. So the first layers property transform dot property position dot value 0. Similarly, when I is 1, the second layers transform position value 0. That's what is being stored in this variable, and it's an array. And here we're just pushing it. Null x and null y is again two empty global arrays that are defined at the top. So null x is pushing this information and null y is pushing, and then in the end I'm just alerting null x comma null y. That's why we're getting x1, x2, x3 and y1, y2, y3. This is the progress with this script here, and that was the progress with the auto hotkey script. Now I'm in a position where I can just use my keyboard and edit in the inthekhud vlogs and have bruh and ooh coming up just by pressing G1 and G2. Yeah, I know that was a mouthful. From tomorrow onwards, again, it's the weekend, so I have to focus on the sculpting course, as I said, the Udemy course. For the moving meditations challenge that I've taken up, I don't quite know how that is going to pan out, because if I want to sculpt Adiyogi statue in the background, which it's going to be very important, and I cannot get that wrong. So the point at which I am in my sculpting journey right now, I don't really know if I can do that. In the worst case scenario, I can make a cubic worlds Adiyogi statue behind, like we did the robot, and then just submit, because I want to submit this challenge, like at least some submission. It doesn't have to be amazing, but like, and then after a year, when again he comes up with every year he comes up with this challenge, so then I can look back and see, okay, how much of progress I've made. So that is something I really want to do. I'll see how that pans out. Weekend coming up, provided there are no last minute changes on the full-time job scenario over the weekend. It's obviously going to be dad's work heavy, so show 2 I'm going to try and get at least 30 episodes in the bag, because right now the music cue sheets auto hotkey script is functioning pretty fine, so it should really speed up the workflow in general. Yeah, I've spoken a lot and I've exceeded 11 minutes, so that was it for today's documentation. Thank you so much for being in the inthekhud. I will see you tomorrow. Peace.